In this video, I'm going to be talking about the harsh truths of starting a business and talking through some of the biggest lies that you're always being told. So, loads of the YouTube content that I'm seeing from a lot of these influencers constantly talking about how you can scale your business from absolutely nothing to generating around £100,000 or dollars worth of actual revenue in about a 30-day period. Now, yes, in some very, very rare circumstances, this is actually possible, but for 99.9% of people, it isn't. Here's the truth. Most businesses take between 2 to 5 years to actually start generating a profit. Now, that's not actually buying a Lamborghini. It's not buying a dream home. It's basically just to actually keep the lights on and keep that business running. So if you're not necessarily prepared to be in business and actually slog away and work hard for an extended period of time, then you're probably not going to make it. There are far too many people quitting in that first year because they're taking advice from all these people who are saying, oh, you can generate this amount of money within a really short time frame. They're then going to set up their business. They're working hard on it for that 30 days. They've realized they haven't actually generated any sort of cash whatsoever, and then they're just quitting. You need to start having a look at how you can extend your time horizon and have your mindset set for between 2 to 5 years in order for you to actually start building a sustainable business. So in this video, we're going to be breaking it down into a few different sections. So the first part we're going to be talking about is this main lie that you're constantly being sold. Second of all, we're going to be talking about the real timeline. Thirdly, we're going to be talking through why most people quit. Fourth is the mindset shift. And the fifth part that we're going to be talking through the sacrifices you need to take in order to make this business a success. I'll also be giving you a few tactical takeaways that you can hopefully start implementing into your daily life to start getting yourself on that way to building a successful business. So let's dive in. So I touched on it before in the intro. This lie that you're constantly seeing on YouTube or any sort of social media channel where business is fast is completely wrong. Business is really, really slow. Like going from 0 to 6 figures in 30 days, you might think it's actually a reality, but it is very, very rare that that actually happens. You're never going to be able to do that with some random sort of side hustle that you've just thought about, whether that's drop shipping or printing on demand or setting up a random branding agency or marketing agency or building out AI agents or whatever it might be, whatever's trending that particular week. And sure, sometimes this does actually work for some people, but what you're seeing online is the 0.1% of people, the ones who strike lucky after actually slogging away at this for years and years and years. What you're not seeing and what they're not showing you is probably the 2 to 5 years worth of work that they've been doing before getting to that point where they've gone, okay, I'm going to set up a new business and take it from 0 to 100K. They've probably already got a massive following across a variety of different social media channels. They probably already know how to do the basics of actually selling and building a business. They probably know who their customers are. They know how their customers actually hang out. So they've ticked off a lot of these boxes that you, when you're setting up a brand new business, aren't going to know. So even the overnight successes that you're seeing are actually years and years in the making, not just 30 days. So let's start looking at the real timeline. Now, the average business takes between 2 to 5 years to actually hit profitability. Now, this isn't me being negative. This is literally just the data. You can Google it, do whatever you want, go have a look at it yourself. Whether that's a startup building a software product, whether it's an agency itself, whether it's a solo brand or whatever, it doesn't necessarily matter. If you're profitable within 3 years, you're ahead of the game. You're great. Now, most people underestimate how much time it actually takes in order to build a sustainable or profitable business until it can actually replace your income. When it comes to business, it's just slower, it's just harder than you're ever probably going to imagine. But trust me, it'll be worth it. So let's have a look at why people quit, or why most people quit. The biggest reason why people actually quit is not necessarily because the idea that they have for their business is bad. It's mainly down to their expectations being so wrong. A lot of people think, oh, I can set up a business and within the next 30 days or maybe even 6 months or maybe even a year, I can then turn that into my dream lifestyle company. I'm earning $1 million a year. I can go buy a Lambo, I can travel the world and work wherever I want to, with who I want to, when I want to. But that simply isn't the case. And because people aren't hitting those certain milestones in that short time period, they're thinking, I'm a failure, this isn't working, I'm going to give up. And then they go back to doing what they were before, which is usually just a bog standard 9 to 5 job. But the one thing you need to do is make sure you're not comparing yourselves to these other people. The vast majority of business owners aren't even online. Like, they're not talking about what they're doing. They're not showcasing who you are. You're not going to be able to see the hundreds of millions of other success stories that you're seeing at the moment. But online, you're only going to be seeing that top 1% or top even 0.1%. So you need to make sure you're not necessarily comparing yourself and your journey to all these other people that you're seeing online having all of this success. Your first chapter is going to be very, very different to someone else's first chapter. But what you're doing at the moment by looking at these people who have actually generated 100K's worth of revenue in 30 days, that's pretty much heading towards their final chapter. They've already gone through all 25, 26 chapters beforehand in order to actually get to that position of having the knowledge and understanding to be able to actually deliver business in that amount of time. Your chapter one, do not actually compare yourself to anyone else. Just focus on what you're trying to build and make sure you're actually working on that really, really consistently. Because your timeline matters. If you think that the success is going to come to you in 30 days or 60 days or 6 months or even a year, then you're wrong. Then you'll probably quit before you actually hit that success. You need to try to adjust your timelines, start heading towards that kind of 5-year time horizon. And that's when you'll probably win. Now let's move on to the mindset shift. So what can you do? Now, as I just touched on, you need to try to shift your mindset and start looking at these much longer time horizons. So stop asking yourself, how can I make this work fast? And start asking yourself, how can I make this work no matter what? Or how do I make this work no matter how long it takes? That's when you're really going to be starting to think about how you can build a sustainable business. You're constantly thinking about your customers, because your customers are going to be changing over time as well. Your product offering or your service offering is probably going to be adjusting and changing and pivoting along this growth journey. Anything under a year, it's just not enough time. Business is all about compounding. It's slow, it's painful, and then suddenly you'll start seeing this nice spike in growth. That's where the hockey stick chart actually comes from. On the actual blade of that hockey stick, the bottom part where you're slapping that puck or hitting the ball, that's where you're constantly slogging away, iterating your product, starting to understand and hopefully moving towards product market fit. And then you're slowly starting to see that growth period. And again, this takes years. This isn't going to happen in 30 days or 2 months, 3 months or 6 months. It's going to take years in order for you to find any sort of product market fit. I think Airbnb took about 2 years to start generating any sort of decent revenue. That's a prime example of them. You could probably look at all of these massive businesses, whether it's Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Apple, any of these companies. You could probably just look into them and see how long it actually took them to start generating a decent amount of consistent revenue and start heading up that growth path. It took a long time. So you've got to start playing long-term games with long-term people. Stop trying to find those shortcuts, because trust me, shortcuts don't equal long-term growth. The long way around is actually going to be your cheat code. And finally, let's talk about these sacrifices that you're going to have to be making, because you cannot build a business without making sacrifices. And this is usually the part that nobody really wants to hear. A lot of the time you'll hear people say, I don't have the time or anything like this, I can't do this, I can't spend time on the business. But if you're actually serious about it, if you're serious about your idea and you're serious about pursuing and being an entrepreneur and building a business, then you're going to have to make sacrifices. So when people are saying, I don't have the time, it's like, well, okay, so how often do you go out for dinner? How often do you see your friends? How often do you go out for a drink after work? How often do you watch Netflix? How much time do you spend playing video games? How much time do you spend just scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or just watching YouTube videos, for instance? So that's not a time problem, that's a priority problem. So here's what I do. For all the videos and everything that I'm creating, I usually work on these probably between around 8 to 12 hours on the weekends, whether that's scripting, whether it's recording, whether that is actually publishing things, working on the website, working on the course, all these different ideas. I'm usually getting home later than 7 p.m. pretty much every single day as well. And then I'll try to actually spend maybe between 45 minutes to an hour every single evening also working on this course and trying to help others actually build their businesses. So we've been building a 24-step process, which is actually going to help you go from just your idea all the way through to actually building a profitable business. It's going to be on a monthly basis as well. We're going to be working with you for a relatively long period of time in order for you to actually start getting to a position where you know how to build these businesses. If you are interested in that sort of thing, you can then hop onto the website and sign up to it through there at dd.ventures. Now, this isn't necessarily hustle porn. This is just what I'm doing to try to make sure I can then build a really nice, sustainable, profitable business on the side of what I'm doing on the daily basis, which is actually building out a massive community of founders and investors and helping them get in touch with the right service providers for them. If you want it badly enough, you have to make the time. So saying no to seeing your friends, saying no to going out for dinner, saying no to that extra Netflix episode, because freedom later on is worth the discipline now. One of my favorite quotes is actually from Jimmy Carr. I think it was actually whilst he was on stage, the comedian, someone asked him, okay, what is some of the best advice that you'd actually give to my kids? His advice was, he took a bit of a pause and just said, hard life now, easy life later. I think that resonates across absolutely everything, whether it's business, whether it's sports, whether it's your love life, whatever it is. You've got to be kind of making those sacrifices right now in order to ensure that you're going to be hitting those dream goals of yours later on in life. So if you're sat back thinking, oh God, yeah, I want to have that dream car in 5, 10, 15 years time. I want to have a house. I want to buy my mum a house. I want to do this. I want to go on this holiday. If you're not actually making these really small steps or being really consistent and being disciplined right now, you are never going to achieve that. So here's a couple of tactical takeaways that you can do to hopefully start helping you along this journey of building this business. So one of the ways that you can stay long enough in the game for you to succeed is by just keeping your normal daily job. You don't have to quit your job and go full-time into your startup straight away. What most people say is probably try to save up between 6, 12 or 18 months worth of runway for yourself, just to ensure that you actually have enough of a buffer. So if all goes Pete-tong or wrong to your Americans, you can then actually be in a position where you can say, great, I've still got a little bit of cash behind me and I'm not going to lose the house. One of the biggest things, or one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of founders make is actually just working far too much on planning around the business and not actually focusing on driving sales and customers towards their business. So always start off by trying to focus on the sales. Even if you haven't built the product itself, or you don't have the service offering that you're trying to sell, you can still sell it. Get people to sign up to wait lists, get people to put deposits down, just get people engaging with you, showcasing who you are, showcasing what you're trying to do. And that way you're going to start building up an audience which you can then actually eventually sell it to. And try to track your progress every single week. Now, I don't journal, I don't diarize absolutely everything, but what I do is keep a really solid or a really simple Notion page where I'm just tracking all the weekly activity. And then I set myself tasks and goals of what I want to be achieving in that next week, month, 6 months as well. And then with the longer term stuff, you can then start breaking that down into shorter, more succinct, smaller tasks in order for you to actually tackle on a daily basis as well. So it's not necessarily about journaling. It's all about how you can actually prioritize what you're trying to do and then just focus on the things that actually matter. And then finally, I think make sure you're surrounding yourself by other people who are in the same boat as you. Building a community around yourself of like-minded people is super important. Not necessarily just because it's a shoulder to cry on or anything like that, because trust me, building a business can sometimes be really, really lonely, but you just need to actually be able to rely on people. Community is going to be fuel for you to actually scale. You're going to get motivated by other people's successes. You can then potentially help them as well. And who knows, right? They could actually put you in touch with potential investors. They could be your next customer. They could be your next referral. They could offer you a testimonial. There's so many benefits to surrounding yourself by other people who are going through the same things as you are, or who are a slight few steps ahead of you as well. So if you're on a job right now and thinking about starting a business, good, because this is a really exciting time. Do not rush it. Don't compare your first chapter to someone else's final chapter. Make sure you're giving yourself time, making as many sacrifices as you can, and extending your horizon, because that's going to give you the success that you need. So stick with it. Play the long game, and I'll see you at the top. As I said earlier, if you are interested in our 24-step process of how to actually build a sustainable and profitable business, then go to dd.ventures and sign up. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment below.